Okay, so I just wanted to give you an overview of something that's going on here in Module 3. In 3.1, we talked about all the different angles formed when you have two lines crossed by a transversal. Okay, and the angles, like these angles. Okay, and in section 3.1, we said if these two lines that are crossed by the transversal are parallel, then these special angles have special relationships. That gave us these four postulates or theorems. The only one that's a postulate is this one. So corresponding angles postulate, alternate interior angles theorem, alternate exterior angles theorem, same side interior angles theorem. And what each of those says is, if the lines are parallel, then the corresponding angles postulate says that corresponding angles are congruent. The alternate interior angles theorem says if lines are parallel, those are congruent. The alternate exterior angles theorem says if the lines are parallel, those are congruent. And the same side interior angles theorem says if the lines are parallel, same side interior angles are supplementary, meaning they add up to 180. So those are the original theorems. Now what happens in section 3.2 is we take those and we flip them backwards. So now we have the converses. Okay, we have a converse for each one of them. We have a corresponding angles converse, an alternate interior angles converse, an alternate exterior angles converse, and a same side interior angles converse. And what those say are, instead of, remember the original said if the lines are parallel, then these things are true. The converses say if those things are true, then the lines are parallel. So it's just backwards. So the corresponding angles converse says if corresponding angles are congruent, then my lines are parallel. Or the alternate interior angles converse says if alternate interior angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel. The alternate exterior angles converse says if alternate exterior angles are congruent, the lines are parallel. And the same side interior angles converse says if same side interior angles are supplementary, then the lines are parallel. So what does this mean on homework? Let's look at tonight's homework. Okay, on page 82, you're doing 1 through 5. I'm not going to do those for you, sorry. But let's talk about some that are like that. On 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, those are kind of like the 1 through 4. On all of those, you notice the little red arrowheads. Those are telling you the lines are parallel. If it's telling you the lines are parallel, then that means I'm looking for the one that starts with lines are parallel. So not these, not the converses, but the original theorems. If the lines are parallel, comes from the original 4 theorems that we just say corresponding angle postulate, alternate interior angles theorem, alternate exterior angles theorem, and same side interior angles theorem. So if you are being asked for a reason, which you're really not here, you're just being asked to use them. But like for instance, look over to problems 13 through 19. This is on page 83. It says find each angle measure and then justify each angle with, or excuse me, each answer with a postulate or theorem. So for instance, measure of angle 1. If this is 120, then that's 120 because those are corresponding angles. Since I'm starting out knowing the lines are parallel, and I'm concluding something about the angles, I'm figuring out something about the angles as my conclusion, those are the original theorems. So it's corresponding angles postulate. Everything on pages 82 and 83 is from the original theorems because that's what we did in section 3.1. But then part of your homework jumps over to page 90. Page 90 is getting into proving lines parallel. If you look at what it says about section 3.2. These theorems, the original theorems, start out assuming lines are parallel. So that doesn't prove the lines are parallel. That means if we already knew that they were. The ones where I'm proving lines are parallel, okay, the ones that end up with then these are parallel, those are the converses. So anytime you end with the lines being parallel, that means you're using the converses. Excuse me. Numbers 1 through 3, we did problems just like in class. Those are even telling me that I'm using the converse, so that's pretty clear. 4 through 9 here in your homework are just like, say, 16 through 21. It says use the theorems and given information to show that the lines are parallel. If I'm being asked to show that, that means I'm doing this. I'm saying I'm using something about the angles to show that then that means the lines are parallel. So those are the converses. So for instance, in number 16, it says angle 3 is congruent to angle 6. Well, first I have to figure out what type of angle pair those are. Those are alternate interior angles. And we have a converse theorem that says if alternate interior angles are congruent, it's right here, excuse me, then the lines are parallel. That's the alternate interior angles converse. So everything you do on pages 90 and 91 is about the converses. So that's really what's going on in your homework. You're kind of comparing the original theorems to the converse theorems. Hope that helps.